What was the Tuskegee experiment gem warfare declared against black people? Hundreds of black men discovered massacred in syphilis experiment. This really did okay. And also, we see here that there is a grand opening of new Chinese community and police cooperation center in South African nation Mandela Bay. What does this tell us? Is there a bigger agenda about the Chinese opening police stations in Africa? And there is also more Chinese coming into Africa. How is this connected with malaria? Is there any connection or not? African GMO attack mosquitoes released. Could there be a hidden agenda here? Let us find out. We know clearly that malaria and Zika and dengue and encephalitis has caused havoc in Africa. But has it reduced the population in Africa? Is it decimating and destroying Africans such that we have to declare war on mosquitoes? We see here in West Africa, they are being lectured and told about the new approach to fight and to destroy mosquitoes. Let us watch a very eye-opening video by Dr. Mumbi.
Wake up, Africa, your time has come. Open up your eyes and see the sun. Open up your spirit. Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, Africa.
Now, this story that I have for you today is gonna sound literally like a sci-fi. Like, it's gonna sound like I'm talking about a movie. But get this, GMO mosquitoes, genetically modified mosquitoes, were released in Burkina Faso. I was gonna say are about to, but allegedly in late September. And we didn't even hear it. It didn't even make continental news. In late September, the Bill and Melinda Gates funded project released sterile male GMO genetically engineered mosquitoes into the environment to try and fight malaria. And this is absolutely troubling and absolutely disturbing. Now, the genetically engineered mosquitoes is the very first time they've been released into the wild. It's the very first time that actually any genetically engineered organism has been released into the atmosphere of Africa. And just something doesn't sit right with this whole situation. I thank my brother who sent me this email. It has been, when I was reading and doing more research, it's really, really disturbing. So Burkina Faso granted scientists permission to release these genetically engineered mosquitoes into their atmosphere, and about 10,000 of them were released. Now, 3 African countries actually did agree to be part of this Bill and Melinda Gates funded project. That's Burkina Faso, Mali, and Uganda. And a similar project has already been done in Brazil and Cayman Islands, although they have not released the results. So we don't know if it was successful or if it was not successful. Now, what they're trying to do is to significantly reduce the population of mosquitoes. Doesn't that sound familiar? Aren't they also trying to significantly reduce the African population? So, and the reduction is going to happen significantly and quickly. And so allegedly, though, like the biggest fear that has come out from the people of Africa, from the scientists of Africa and around the world is that because mosquitoes are able to transmit so much to our blood. That's why we have malaria, etc. And so the biggest fear is, will this sterilization gene or genome or whatever they're calling it, can it be transferred to humans? And how do we trust people who have talked about how there's an overpopulation of Africans on the continent? How do we trust them with releasing mosquitoes with a sterilization gene into our atmosphere? I'm just like, seriously, what are our leaders smoking? Like, seriously, what are our leaders smoking?
Yes. Is there a worldwide agenda against black people? Mark Crutcher, president of the United States-based pro-life group Life Dynamics. Crutcher is also the producer of the hard-hitting documentary Mahafa 21, which exposes what he calls the ongoing genocide of blacks worldwide by prominent established forces. Having listened to that video and known who is financing it, are we not to be skeptical? Are we not to have a grassroots fight? Is it true Africans are being betrayed by the new ruling elites who have been duped to allow the continent's continuous crisis. The invitations of China, the invitation of these experiments, African and many other organizations. But why? Black people are not all that powerful, are they? Malaria kills, yes. But can we get rid of all mosquitoes? Since no one knows what would happen, and with obvious hidden experiments and agendas that we have seen already, why do African governments allow this? You've listened to that video. What would happen if we all eliminate all mosquitoes? What's the point of mosquitoes? What role do they must play in the ecosystem? But why would they release genetically modified mosquitoes in Africa? What else can these mosquitoes do? Where are our African leaders? We see here again that World Health Organization paves way for use of genetically modified mosquitoes to combat Zika. You can read more and study more on this and video here. But no one can answer the hard questions. It's an experiment. That's the danger. Deadly genetically engineered mosquitoes have been released into the wild. Suppose this is they call it gene drive. It comes very intellectual and academic, but no one knows the consequences. It may also attack humans and inject an unknown GMO modifying instructions into the humans. The plan to fight malaria with genetic engineering is not all that safe. 90% of malaria deaths occur in sub-Saharan Africa. We know that. Malaria prevalence is seen here. You can see that is blue there. And also, there is a lot of destruction there. Why would they release such mosquitoes there with no knowledge of consequences? For Africans, this must not sound like the plot of a horror movie. A swarm of bacteria-infested mosquitoes released, and our African leadership cheers this on. Why this concerted effort? Is it to help Africa? Really, honestly, is it that they want us? Let us listen to some of the ideas and philosophies that are hidden or that are engrossed in all this aid, help, and love. This is what Margaret Sanger, founder of Planned Parenthood, said. We don't want the word to go out that we want to exterminate the Negro population. Also, you can watch this YouTube. And according to Global Health Observatory data since the beginning of the epidemic about AIDS, more than 71 million people have been infected with HIV virus and more than 34 million have died of HIV globally. You can study this about Media Planet Info and the agenda to depopulate human population. Also, Dr. Robert Gallo is reputed to have said, I created AIDS to deliberately depopulate humans. So, this is the AIDS virus. What's going on here? This is what is going on. It's population politics. It's a resources issue. Now, the United Nations General Population Estimates 2015 to 2100 shows that African population is skyrocketing and Asian population is going down. And as of Europe, North America, Oceania, and Latin America, there is no population growth at all. So what are the implications of all this? For centuries, Africa's history and development had been profoundly influenced by outsiders, both Europeans and Arabs. But their population is going down. You see, you can study more on this website. Failure to address Africa's rising population is not an option. If nothing is done, the probable effects on food and water security will be dramatic. That's not correct. Let us be wiser a little bit. That's not correct. Hence, when they speak of reduction of population, it's only this African that they are targeting. Africa versus the world, population-wise, in 50 years' time. Look at this. Population of Africa, it will be astronomical. Eventually, the whole earth will have only black people. That's what it implies. In 2050, only Africa will be adding more and more. So Africa is fastest growing continent. More than half of global population growth between now and 2050 is expected to occur in Africa. Africa is the highest rate of population growth among major areas, growing at a pace of 2.5% annually. That is of 2010-2015. Asia is projected to be the second largest contributor to future global population growth, adding 0.9 billion people between 2050 and 2050. Shrinking population in Europe. In sharp contrast, the population of 48 countries or areas in the world are expected to decrease and they are in Europe. This may be the real reason behind the lingering population control agenda, HIV, wars, underdevelopment, and Chinese recolonization of Africa. Yes, Africa, be aware of Chinese. You know the package principle, that there were millions and millions of black people in Asia, in East Asia and China. And according to the package principle and discoveries, they were all wiped out. And so when we hear of the 60 billion Chinese injection and looming genocide of Africa and the extinction of Africa, we now know why. These are the people the military take over. They are already here. We have seen the police already in South Africa, and we have seen Zambia is gone. So it's an issue of politics. If this is your time, grab your ancestry today and walk with God, and let us not allow this to occur, to continue. Thank you, Siabonga Tatenda. This is Priest Teacher Rabbi LM Dumizulu. Subscribe to our channel, Hamiti Hebrew Ethics. Contact us on this email and let us work together to foster that Africanhood. That African population must increase beyond any measure. We will do it. We will be here. We will control the earth again, whether they like it or whether they don't like it. Thank you. Goodbye.